My name is James Carter. I'm 42, a former military engineer, and until recently, I thought I'd left conflict behind. After 2 decades of chaos, orders shouted across scorching deserts and humid jungles, all I craved was peace and solitude. When my father passed last fall, he left me our family's most cherished legacy, a 60-acre mountain estate nestled deep in the Blue Ridge Mountains. This wasn't just land, it was history. A home my grandfather built with his own hands in 1957, its concrete foundation and sturdy timbers a testament to resilience. Every pipe, every solar panel, every inch of the off-grid plumbing system whispered tales of defiance and independence. Out here, I thought no one could dictate my life. The property sits high above a valley that's transformed more in 5 years than it had in the previous 50. Below, an upscale development called Silverwood Estates has spread like a polished plague: gated homes, pristine asphalt, identical mailboxes, and pretentious book clubs. Cookie-cutter houses clad in bland siding, suffocating in their sameness. I ignored them, assuming they'd stick to their manicured lawns, and I'd keep to my tools, my dogs, and my quiet. That changed the day I met Linda Hawthorne. She rolled up in a sleek silver SUV, gliding past my private gate like she was already claiming the land with her eyes. Mid-50s, sharp brunette bob, sunglasses worth more than my generator. Later, I learned she was president of the Silverwood Estates HOA, acting like the self-appointed queen of the valley. Her first words weren't a greeting. "What a shame," she said. "This view could serve the community so much better." I stayed silent, leaning against the fence, but her tone, like she was sizing up something she already owned, put me on edge. A week later, a glossy Silverwood Estates HOA newsletter appeared in my mailbox. I wasn't a member, hadn't signed up, but there it was. The front page boasted about upcoming community expansion, featuring a sunset photo of my ridge, captioned "Future Silverwood Access Point." My stomach churned. The war I thought I'd escaped was starting again, not on foreign soil, but in my own backyard. A gold-embossed envelope arrived with Monday's mail, tucked among hardware receipts and a pet supply catalog. Heavy paper, Silverwood Estates Homeowners Association letterhead, no return address. I opened it, more out of defiance than curiosity, and what I read made my blood run cold. It began with a fake pleasantry: "Dear resident of Eagle Crest Ridge," then declared my property had been absorbed into Silverwood Estates' expanded boundaries. No notice, no vote, just a decree that I was now under their bylaws. They demanded access to the lake on my land, calling it a shared recreational asset. My garage was to become a storage hub for their maintenance crew. Worst of all, my grandfather's home was flagged for inspection and aesthetic upgrades to meet their neighborhood standards. Attached were fake legal documents, a zoning map with my land sloppily highlighted, a compliance form with a forged signature that wasn't mine, and a threat $10,000 weekly fines starting next week if I didn't comply. This wasn't a mistake. It was a calculated attack dressed in polite prose. I called my attorney, Thomas Reed, a meticulous man who loathed confrontation but lived for legal precedent. He reviewed the documents overnight and called at dawn. "James, this isn't just an error, it's fraud. They've fabricated a zoning map and slipped your property into it. That's illegal." I gripped the phone. "What's next?" He didn't hesitate. "We fight. Lock your gates." I was in town grabbing supplies, fuel for the generator, a new water valve, some whiskey, when they made their move. For hours, just enough time for them to strike. When I returned, the dogs were frantic. My motion sensors had pinged my phone, but I hadn't checked. Rare for anything to breach the gate. Then I saw it. The rear gate's lock was snapped, the fence ajar. My gut sank. I dropped the groceries and checked the perimeter cams. 5 HD units, infrared, motion-triggered. At 11:12 a.m., a silver SUV with Silverwood decals crept up the back trail, followed by a utility truck. 6 people stepped out. Linda Hawthorne led, clipboard in hand, sunglasses fixed, barking orders like she owned the place. They didn't knock. One guy wielded bolt cutters, another pried open my garage with a crowbar. A tech crew followed with scanners, notepads, a measuring tape. Linda stood at the garage entrance and said, "Clear as day on camera. This property is already ours. If he resists, we'll phase him out." A younger guy in a green hoodie hesitated. "Is this legal?" Linda didn't flinch. "By the time he fights, we'll have precedent." "Do your job." They didn't enter the house. My smart locks would have triggered a lockdown, but they photographed the exterior, tagged my breaker panel with an HOA sticker, and left. My hands shook as I watched, not from fear but from rage. This was trespassing, attempted theft, a coordinated scam. I called Thomas. "They broke in," I said. A pause. "We go to war," he replied. 3 days later, a certified letter from the County Planning Board arrived, summoning me to a hearing on property use regularization for Silverwood Estates expansion. They were trying to redraw the map to swallow my land. I showed up at the municipal building in work boots and an old army jacket, dust still clinging to me. The room was packed, HOA board members in press suits, contractors, the city clerk. Linda sat at the center table, flanked by 2 men in matching navy blazers with silverwood pins. I sat in the back, clutching a folder with my original deed, 1995 boundary maps, and a notarized letter from my father exempting us from any HOA. When my name was called, I stood. Linda didn't look at me. She just smirked. The zoning rep read their proposal: Annex Eagle Crest Ridge into Silverwood Estates for Unified Standards, Utilities, and Recreation. I raised a hand. My property isn't part of Silverwood. Never was, never will be. I laid out my documents. One of their lawyers flipped through them with fake politeness, then produced a color map with my land outlined, labeled Phase 3 Expansion. He claimed it was public record. I saw the fraud instantly. An outdated map, borders redrawn, my family seal photoshopped out, and a forged signature. "That's fake," I said, voice steady. The room stirred. Linda crossed her arms, still smirking. "Pursue it legally if you want," she said, "but the community deserves unity, not isolation." That word, community, was a lie. This was about control. My land, with its lake, access routes, and high ground, was their prize. I walked out, knowing this was a land grab, now on public record. The next morning, the air felt wrong. No dog barks, no generator hum, just eerie silence. Outside, the gate hinges were twisted, the chain cut. The main power line was severed, coiled in the dirt. The generator shed's backup inverter was stolen. Spray painted across my house in red, "Join or leave." I didn't call the cops. I checked my hidden cams, passive infrared, seismic lines, wildlife trackers. The footage showed 4 figures in hoodies, faces masked, moving like pros. One carried a crowbar, another worked the fuse box. Behind them, Linda, half lit by moonlight, arms folded, overseeing it all. The audio caught a man muttering, "This is illegal, Linda." She replied, "He's bluffing. He's alone. He won't fight." Wrong. I encrypted the footage, sent it to Thomas, and drove to the district courthouse with a binder, videos, tampered maps, affidavits, sabotage photos. Thomas met me at the courthouse, eyes red from a sleepless night. He'd briefed the prosecutor's office. The assistant DA, Sarah Gwynn, didn't mince words. "Show me everything." We played the break-in video, the sabotage footage with Linda's orders, the forged maps. Sarah's eyes hardened. "Linda Hawthorne has violated multiple statutes: trespassing, forgery, vandalism, conspiracy, and possibly extortion. If we prove she orchestrated this, it's a felony." I slid over the audio transcript. "We can prove it." Then I showed her a buried gem, a boundary alteration request Linda filed 3 months earlier, denied, but using the same wording and coordinates as the forged map. She tried legally first, then went rogue. Sarah nodded. She thought you'd fold. I'm filing charges. Prepare for a hearing, maybe a trial. The courtroom was stark, harsh lights, the smell of ink and old wood. Linda walked in, all poise, perfect hair, tailored suit, her legal team looking like corporate sharks. She glanced at me, thinking this was still personal. It wasn't. Sarah presented the charges: trespassing, forgery, vandalism, fraudulent annexation, conspiracy. She showed the break-in video, Linda's sabotage orders, the doctored maps, her buried request. Linda's lawyer spun it as a community misunderstanding, but the judge, sharp and impatient, wasn't buying it. On the stand, I recounted everything: my family's legacy, the break-in, Linda's orders caught on tape. When they replayed her saying, "He's bluffing," the room tensed. The forged signature comparison sealed it. The judge's jaw tightened. Linda claimed it was a clerical error, but the evidence, videos, audio, documents, didn't lie. The jury took 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Linda's sentence: 2 years in county jail, a $250,000 fine. Silverwood Estates liable for $1.6 million in restitution. The judge called her actions a malicious abuse of power and ordered a federal probe into the HOA. 2 days later, the county dissolved Silverwood Estates HOA. Its board collapsed, members fled, and the development became a shadow of its smug self. Linda Hawthorne, who tried to steal my land, left the courtroom in handcuffs, her empire gone. The air felt lighter after the verdict, the mountain quiet again. The dogs roamed freely, tails up, as if the land had exhaled. I rebuilt new wiring, reinforced gates, steel bars on the garage. I left the graffiti up for a while, a scar of the fight, but eventually had a stonemason carve a granite marker at the driveway's edge: private land. HOA not recognized here. Below, smaller, Linda claimed this land for her community. Now she's in a cell. Hikers snap photos. One left a note thanking me for fighting, regretting he hadn't. I keep it by my deed. Silverwood Estates lingers, quieter, humbler. Some residents apologized, offered visits. I declined. I don't hold grudges, but I remember. This house isn't just a home. It's my family's bloodline, my stand. No more committees, no more trespassers. The land is mine, always will be. Let them build their gates and print their newsletters. Out here, freedom is locks that hold, dogs that warn, cameras that see, and a man ready to defend his legacy against any storm.